Okay, Wanda James. Now this is a very innocent question because I want you to educate me on this. Okay?
Oh Lord.
No, really. This is. I've been hearing conflicting stories also. Okay. Until Charlie Kirk was shot and killed, I never knew the name, never knew the person, never knew anything about him. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, this name was ever present everywhere. You know what I mean? And so I'd like to get your thoughts about who that is, and I want to go to this congressional resolution that was just passed and voted in favor by Hakeem Jeffries.
Yep.
Congresswoman Diana DeGette was present and did not vote. She
voted present.
She voted present.
That's a vote.
Yes, she voted present, and then I've got a statement from her. I think Congressman Jason Crow voted in favor.
He did.
And this was about, let me, for those of you who don't know what it is, I want to just give some, Joe Neguse, Congressman Joe Neguse, no. Okay, but I want to just kind of give a little bit background of what the resolution was, so there's no kind of like picking and choosing and making things up, okay? Whereas Charlie James Kirk, it gives when he was born in 93. It talks about him being a devoted Christian. It talks about him being a husband and talks about his beloved wife and children. It talks about him being at 18 years old, founding Turning Point 2012. It talks about him being the most prominent or he became one of the most prominent voices in America, engaging in respectful civil discourses across college campuses, media platforms, national forums, etc. He personified the values of the First Amendment, exercising his God-given right to speak freely, etc. Charlie Kirk's commitment to civil discussions and debate stood as a model for young Americans across the political spectrum. And then it says the assassination of Charlie Kirk was not only a heinous act of violence, but a sobering reminder of the growing threat posed by political extremism. Such acts are politically motivated violence and antithetical to the principles of republic for which, you know, we stand, all of that. The rise of targeted violence, it talks about that. Leaders at every level of government, education, media, and beyond must stand in unequivocal condemnations, etc. The tragic loss of Charlie Kirk must not be allowed. Charlie Kirk would not have us respond to his death with despair, etc. Now, here's what is resolved in this resolution. Condemns the strongest possible terms. You know, it condemns the violence, condemns and honors the dedicated law enforcement and emergency personnel for their tireless efforts in finding the suspect. It extends the deepest condolences and sympathies, honors life, liberty, and legacy of Charlie Kirk, whose steadfast dedication to the to the Constitution, civil discourse, and biblical truth inspired a generation to cherish and defend the blessings of liberty, calls upon all Americans, regardless of race, party affiliation, or creed, to reject political violence, commit to the respectful debate, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It was approved. I would just like to get your gut reaction to all of this, and this has made it to Congress.
Yep. If I was a congressperson, I would have voted no. Joe Neguse voted no. Diana DeGette sits in the safest Democratic D+29 seat, which I believe is like the 10th safest seat in America. And she voted present. And then gave a statement that she voted it because she condemns all political violence. Okay. I condemn all violence. All violence. Nobody should ever be murdered for their words. Because the founding fathers of this country said that our words are the first amendment to this country. Our words, which are fine. I don't agree with Charlie Kirk. I don't agree with him on anything. I have known about him for a very long time. I've seen his quote-unquote debates. He does not debate, he bullies. Debate offers a time and a response and a time and a response. He just bullies people, and most of the things that Charlie Kirk said were untruths, half-truths, and opinions, not debates, and not debate-worthy. He should not have been murdered. This should never have seen the light of day in Congress, nor should he have been flown on Air Force Two, nor should he had his body been, I believe he was lying in state. There was a Minnesota a Minnesota Speaker of the House, her husband, and their dog were gunned down violently in their house. And we did not see this type of response. We did not see this type of response for any political violence that we have seen throughout the years. And let's be real, America. We have been politically violent since Abraham Lincoln. This is not new to us. It's who we are as a people. I'm sorry. America has done this time and time and time and time and time again. And we can lay it all out. We all know the names. As for Jason Crow condemned this and spoke up against censorship and not allowing people to have their voice. But he said nothing to the University of Colorado Regents when they silenced me. So we cannot talk about this if we are not going to be open and forceful for everything that we do. Yes, Charlie Kirk had the right to speak, and he had the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. He should not be dead. He should not be dead. Gabby Giffords should not have been shot. The folks in Minnesota should still be alive. So should a whole bunch of other people, including Dr. King, RFK, JFK, Medgar Evers, Martin, and Malcolm, Elijah McClain here in Denver. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on.
What's happening politically? Candidate Wanda James, I'm really confused also because yes, you have the First Amendment right. For those who constantly say there's a separation between church and state, there's a heavy push on his faith about, you know what I mean, what all of that means. But what confuses me from individuals that I have heard talk about what Charlie Kirk was saying, say that he would say very hurtful things to black folks, about folks with different genders, about like, it's kind of like you can have an opinion, it's anti whatever, and if that is so true, these yes voices, these yes votes are also very painful for those on the other side of those very controversial opinions. But I don't know what he said. I don't know how he said it. I'm just kind of using you as a sounding board.
He has said horrible things like black women aren't intelligent enough to create their own spaces, and so we have to take our success from white men, i.e. affirmative action. He has said that gay people are a disease. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on of all of the really horrible things that Charlie Kirk says. But let me say this. I will stand up for all of the horrible things that Charlie Kirk says.
Absolutely.
He is allowed to say them, 100%. He should not have been murdered.
But are black people, gay people, other people politically disposable? Because what a vote that says this is a life that should be very much honored and all life should be honored.
The Democrats, every Democrat that voted for this, that professes to stand up for the people, that professes to stand up for women, LGBTQ, Latinos, blacks, children, the separation of church and state, Muslims, Democrats, Jewish people, that if we are going to be the party of people, or the party that stands up for people, then God's sakes, start standing up for people and stop being fearful and cowardly. And to me, everybody that voted for that is showing their cowardness, because they are afraid. And you know what they're afraid of? They are afraid of not being voted back to office. That's all this is ever about. They are afraid that somebody will not vote for them, or they won't get the endorsement of whatever group, or they won't get the check from whatever group. They're afraid. They're cowards. And this is why we are in the mess that we are in right now, because people will not stand up, and electeds will not stand up and say, this is wrong, because they are afraid. They go to work afraid. They come home afraid. They are afraid of losing their position. They won't take a position. They won't say what's right and wrong. Even when they are clear as to what is right and wrong, they won't say it because they are afraid. Dear God, dear God, how afraid can we be in this country as we are losing democracy? We are losing humanity. We are losing our middle class. We are losing who we are as people because the elected class is afraid. If you're afraid, then quit. I've had it.
Wanda James, CU, Regent, and CD1 candidate. I want to go to Representative Diana DeGette's statement. I want to unpack this for just a moment, because present means that you were there. It's a okay. Let me just see what it says about yes. I want to hear Hakeem Jeffries' statement. I'm going to read that, but I want to go right here to what Representative Diana DeGette said. But in Congress, when a member votes present, it means they are officially recorded as being there, but they chose not to vote either way, yay or nay.
That's not her job. You know what her job is as a leader? Your job is as a leader is to vote. What did Joe Neguse vote?
Joe Neguse voted no.
Right. Do we know that Joe Neguse was there?
Well.
I mean, look, you are elected to lead. You are elected to lead. You're telling me you're there? What?
Representative Diana DeGette released a statement after voting saying, I fully denounce political violence. It's never acceptable to murder someone for their personal beliefs, and I am heartbroken for Charlie Kirk's young family. However, I cannot vote yes on this resolution because it grossly misrepresents Charlie Kirk's methods, views, and beliefs while citing Christian nationalist language. I will always condemn heinous acts of violence, but this resolution ignores the fact and hateful rhetoric that was too often present in his debates. Furthermore, Congress cannot condemn political violence only when it happens to one party. That's why I am co-sponsoring Rep. Vesey's resolution that denounces all forms of political violence, regardless of the victim's political affiliation, including Charlie Kirk, the Minnesota legislators, and others. So it looks like she's saying, I'm going to forward another resolution.
What is she saying? Tell me what she's saying. No, tell me what she's saying. Because to me, there is yes and there is no. Either way, you would have been present. So
you could say no and do what you wanted to do.
You could say no and the world would know that you were present because you said no. I mean, look. You know what? I'm a former military officer. We vote yes or we vote no. We go left or we go right. We don't kind of go in the middle. we say yes or we say no. So while I agree with the Congresswoman's statement, there is never a form for never an opportunity for violence in America, and it's wrong. It's wrong. We got to talk about a whole bunch of other things behind that. It's wrong.
I want to go to the heart of this, though, because it sounds like she is very familiar with Charlie Kirk in a way that I wasn't, because in her statement she says, citing Christian nationalist language, that's coded. That's a euphemism right there when you start talking about Christian nationalist language.
Why
but it
can't
says,
you come out strongly then and say no?
Condemn. I will always condemn heinous acts of violence, but this resolution ignores the false, hateful rhetoric that was too often present in his debates.
Then say no. No. Stand up. Stand up. We pay you $200,000 a year to stand up. We don't pay you to be present. I pay you to say yes or to say no. I pay you to stand up, not be present. Yes, no. I don't understand why this is difficult.
Now, here's what I want to understand also, because I want to go to Representative Hakeem Jeffries.
Someone's going to call me an angry black woman.
No. I mean, I think, no. Here's what's interesting about the look. I think here's the thing about the angry black woman thing now. Everybody else is caught up. There are a lot of people who are angry today about a lot of things. They're angry about not being able to pay for these prescriptions.
Hello.
Their Medicare health care bills are being taken away.
Why do
They're
we
losing equity in their houses.
Why do we have to take a trip to Mexico or to Canada to get the exact same drugs that are being prescribed here in America, but we can afford them in Canada? We can afford to get on a plane, fly to Canada, get the drugs, and come back, spend the night in Canada, come back, and it's still cheaper than getting the drugs in America. How can we afford that and can't afford the drugs in America?
Hakeem Jeffries voted yes. Like if there were based on heinous and all of the things that Congresswoman Diana DeGette mentioned in the record, in her press release, for me to have a black man that is heralded and championed and very close friends with Jason Crow. They tend to show up together all the time. And I don't know, but I'm just saying, he says that every member of the House Democratic caucus does not endorse Charlie Kirk's views or rhetoric, but he supports the resolution because it condemns political violence in all cases. We know that. Who's going to say, hi, I support political assassinations and violence? Okay. He described the resolution as a short, symbolic a two-page resolution without any legal force, not establishing medals, statutes, or other honors, but as a statement. He also said that he believes this kind of resolution was set up by Republicans in part to try dividing Democrats. And
he walked right into it and divided Democrats instead of saying no. This is all political bullshit, and honestly, I'm really fed up with it. I mean, it makes no sense, right? You're right. It was set up to divide Democrats. It was set up to say that we are standing with a guy that spews ugly all the way around. Yeah, it's exactly what it was, and he stood up for it and said yes. Somebody make this make sense to me, because it does not, right? Leadership should be saying no. No. But once again, he's afraid. You know what he's afraid of? Whoever is funding whatever he's trying to get funded next. And then I heard that they were forced to say that because then the Republicans were going to come out and then cut some plan or cut some program or cut some office or cut something. You know what? Make them cut it. That's right. Make them cut it. You know what I mean? You're going to cut it if I don't say yes? Go ahead. Stand out there and tell the American people that you're cutting whatever it is that you're going to cut, or whatever you're threatening to go ahead and cut. One thing we used to say in the military, and I have lived my life by this: a coward dies 1,000 times, a hero dies once.
That's right.
So Hakeem, 999 more deaths coming your way.
Wow. CU Regent and now CD1 candidate Wanda James